Hey guys, it's Emily. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are back at the Vanity filming another makeup look. Today I am doing a Valentine's Day makeup look with lots of pink tones on my eyes, very glowy, and a soft pink lip. So I hope you enjoy it. You will not need any special palette for this. Lots of neutrals in the crease, and I used lots of blushes on my eyes with a highlighter on my eyes. And of course you can switch out the lip for something more bright, something more nude, even a red would look cool. So I hope you get inspired from this look, and please keep watching. Bye. Hello guys, today we are doing the Valentine's makeup look. First I'm starting off with my Shape Tape Concealer just to prime my eyelids. You can really use any primer or concealer that you have just to black out the veins on your eyelids and prep them for your eyeshadow. Then I'm going right in with my Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder just to set that down. You could also use just a plain white shadow or something to set the concealer so it's not sticky. Again, applying my favorite Scotch tape to the corners of my eyes to give me that nice line later. Taking the original Naked palette and putting Sin all over my lid. It's a very pale, shimmery shade. It doesn't do much, so you could just use a plain color, but I decided just to have a base of shimmer for this look. So I'm just using a flat brush to apply that. Now taking this light brown shade from the same Naked palette and applying this in my crease. You can use any light brown transition shade that you have, anything that's a little bit darker than your skin tone, just to start off the crease and defining it. So here I'm just blending this out, very messy, very smoky. I'm just trying to get that all over to prep for the other colors. And now I'm going one step darker with a little bit of a darker brown and being a little bit more precise, but still pretty blown out, because this is just our base. Then we'll go in with the pink shadows. Here I'm using this blush palette from BH Cosmetics. It's super affordable and has a bunch of different shades. I love using this. So I'm just taking that light pink shade and starting to work this in the crease. I build it up, so I put a little bit and keep blending, and then I add some more, keep blending, add more, keep blending. It takes a while when you're using colors because you want to make sure everything's blended out evenly. So you just want to keep building up the intensity to the liking that you want. Now I'm taking this darker color and focusing this on my outer corner. I'm sorry, I was cut off a little bit, I didn't realize. But I'm just applying this to the outer corner, focusing that hot pink there. And again, just building up that intensity, keep dipping in and dipping in. And so using this fluffier brush on the outer corner, really smoke that color out. Blushes usually tend to be less pigmented than a regular eyeshadow, therefore you have to build it up a little bit more. Now taking an even preciser brush and that same pink color and putting that right on my outer V. The smaller brush you have, the more pigment will go onto your eyes. Now I'm taking this bright pink blush from Milani called Bella Rose and applying this to the outer corner as well. Again, you don't have to use these exact products, just find all the pink colors that you enjoy and keep building up the intensity from light to dark in your outer V. Now taking my Jaclyn Hill Becca palette and I'm using the Champagne Pop. You could also use Champagne Pop in the regular pan. This is just in the limited edition packaging. I'm putting that on a flat shader brush and applying some Fix Plus to make it even more intense. And look at that, it's super foiled and super, super pretty. So I started applying this from my inner corner all the way to about 3/4 of my eye, leaving that hot pink in the outer section. And I realized that this was a little too gold for the pink, so I added some of that pink shimmery blush on top to kind of blend it in a little bit better. You could also just apply a plain pink shadow on top to tone it down a little bit. Doing the same thing with the other eye and just applying that right there on the innermost half of my eye. That's where you want it to be the most pigmented. And make sure your pink and your shimmer are blended out in the middle so there's no harsh lines. Again, I'm going back with that blush and intensifying the outer corner even more and bringing it in a little bit so it blends into that shimmer. I think that looks really, really pretty. Now taking my MAC 208 brush and my Maybelline gel eyeliner, I'm doing a very, very thin line of black liner. I'm not even going in all the way to my tear duct. This is just to add a little bit more intensity, but even if you wanted to, you could just use a regular pencil and just line your eyes like normal instead of doing a cat eye. But here I decided to add just a very, very tiny one. Now the best part, pulling off that tape and seeing our clean shadow. Now I'm taking a Smashbox Photo Finish Hydrating Primer. My skin was feeling super dry, so I decided to use this one today. I applied that all over my face, just using my fingertips. Then going in with one of my favorite natural foundations, Born This Way, applying that on my IT Cosmetics Flat Top Kabuki brush and blending this all over my face. I like to swirl it for the most part, and then towards the end I start patting it in to really sink that foundation into my skin. Always make sure to blend down your neck so you don't have any harsh lines, since my body is a little bit darker than my face usually is. Now going back with the best concealer ever, Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Light. I'm applying this under my eyes, in between my brows, and on my chin. And then I will blend that out with my favorite beauty sponge from Real Techniques, which I actually prefer over the Real Beauty Blender, and it's half the price, which is awesome. Remember to always get your sponge a little bit damp before you use it. Do not use it dry or will not turn out as you wanted. Make sure to be careful and use the pointed side when you go by your liner to really carve that out. As you can tell, my concealer is about one shade lighter than my foundation to brighten up the center of my face. Now I'm taking my Laura Mercier translucent powder and just setting my whole face with this fluffy brush from Sigma, really focusing on my under eyes, forehead, and chin, mostly the T-zone, but also blending that out everywhere else I had foundation. Now combing through my brows with a spoolie and wiping off some of that foundation that got on my brows. And today, instead of using my Anastasia Brow Wiz, I am just using a flat definer brush and filling them in with a powder. If you have really hairy eyebrows like I do instead of very sparse ones, sometimes using an eyeshadow is a lot faster and quicker and a little bit more natural than using a pencil. So I did that, and now I am setting them with my Anastasia Clear Brow Gel, which will hold them in all place. Now I'm taking that same brush, I wiped it off and went in with a little bit of a lighter brown just to blend on my lower lash line, and going back with that one little precise brush and the blush and blending that out under my eye. Really wanted to smoke that out and let it lead up to my upper shadow. You really want that to match and blend together. This really adds to the look and makes sure it looks all complete. Now taking my Hoola bronzer from Benefit, an oldie but a goodie, and taking this duo fiber brush from Sigma, I am just contouring my face as normal, my cheekbones, and then my temples and forehead, and a little bit on the nose. I decided to be a little bit more blown out with this bronzer because it was a soft pink look instead of something too harsh. Also blending this down on my jawline. Now going back in with the same blush that we used on our eyes, and I'm applying this on my cheeks, which I love doing this whenever I use a blush in my eyes. I like to use that same one on my cheeks, so it all blends nicely, very monochromatic on my face. And I thought it looked a little too intense, so I just went back with a fluffy brush and just kind of blended over it with no extra product. Now I'm taking my tapered brush from Sigma, taking Champagne Pop, again, the shade we used on our eyelids, and using that for highlight. Again, I love using similar products all over my face to really blend everything and bring everything together as one. Now I'm just curling my eyelashes super, super quick, and I'm going to add some mascara. Feel free to add some lashes. I think really pretty light lashes would look beautiful with this, but I wanted to keep it a little more simple. I'm using my Better Than Sex mascara from Too Faced and really packing this on. I love wearing some big mascara with a light shadow because you can really see your lashes on top of that brighter shadow. So applying that to my top and bottom lashes. And always remember, if you get a little dot on your face with mascara, don't touch it, let it dry, and then go in with a Q-tip and you can flick it off, and it'll come off much easier than if you tried smearing it while it was wet. Now using my Subculture lip liner from MAC, this is one of my favorite everyday, very neutral, my lips but better lip liner. Just lining my lips and using the Luster Hug-A-Me lipstick from MAC, a not very dark pink rosy color, and just applying that as my base. And then taking a Cream Cup, a light pink color, and applying that right over it. I love this lipstick because it's very glossy, but you don't have to add a gloss on top. Very pretty, pretty pink. So really intensified that in the center of my lips. And that is the completed look.
It's in the way you drink your coffee. You have faith in me, and you love your cameras, and you tell me that I'm good enough. Oh, you both
first food video. I'm showing you how I make quinoa bowls 3 different ways, really yummy and healthy little lunches, dinners, and breakfast. So just make sure to stop by my channel next Sunday around 8 p.m. and watch that video as well. I will leave my Instagram down below as well as my blog website where you can check out some other posts I do on there. So thanks for watching. Bye.